Hello and welcome to another episode of Hot Media with Bob Mann, both in the audio and visual formats here. This has been a podcast for now close to 2 years. We've just added video, and we certainly hope that you will join us on YouTube. And if you're new to us, to get more information, just go to the website, www.bobmanhotmedia.com. And if you want to listen, you can hear us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Odyssey, and pretty much every platform that is out there. And also, if you are new to our program, we discuss the hottest controversies and the hottest content in mass media. Those of you who have heard the show before know that for years I have been a member of SPJ, the Society of Professional Journalists. And we are very happy to have the newest president of SPJ who is joining us right here. And that is Rebecca Aguilar, who was just elected. She is the first Latina elected to this position. And obviously, we know that journalists are facing many, many challenges in today's society. We don't need to be going over old ground, but Rebecca has a chance to actually make a difference in terms of journalistic leadership. So, first of all, congratulations on your election. And also, in addition to that, I would like to welcome you to Hot Media. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Definitely. I had to be here because anything that has to do with journalism is important to me and all the journalists out there, and especially our close to 6,000 members at SPJ.
And one of the things that really is important is what you're going to be doing. So rather than talk about problems in general, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of your solutions. The first of which has to do with strengthening chapters. The chapters around the country are for professionals, but also for students. And we're facing a number of challenges. Journalists are being threatened, journalists are being called liars and disregarded. So the professional chapters are certainly important. But in addition to that, I can tell you as a college communication and media professor that student chapters really need to be strengthened because even some of the students who study this aren't so sure about the credibility of the profession they've chosen. So tell us a little bit about your goals and missions as president to strengthen these chapters.
Well, I think that you are right on everything you're saying. The difference now, because I'm sure Bob, when back in the day, we were dealing with our own challenges too. Now we just see it on social media. But what's important today is that there are so many challenges we face. You're right. The people that call us fake news, the people that say, that job isn't worth it. The unbelievable hours we have sometimes, right? The more that people have to do. When I started as a reporter in 1980, it was just unbelievable, the things that I had to do back then. But now you have to shoot, you have to edit, you have to do it all, right? You have a lot. And so when you look at students, and let me start with students, because as the president of SPJ, along with my team, the board, because it's not just me, it takes a board, it takes a team to do this. We're going to concentrate on making sure that our student chapters are strong, right? We need strong chapters out there. They're the boots on the ground. Whether you are at Bowling Green State University or USC, the local chapters at those student chapters are important because here's the thing. Student chapters, they help you find jobs. They're the link, right? That's important today. What I want to create, Bob, with the board is a support system. Because today, as journalists, as journalism educators, as student journalists, yes, we're facing a lot. So when it comes to student chapters, we want a place where students get inspired and empowered, all right? Because yes, they're hearing the noise. Oh, fake news, or that job is too demanding, or the pay is not good. They're hearing it, all the noise. What I want to do is eliminate the noise and let the chapters come in and empower and inspire. Empower in what way? We give them the information. We help find mentors. Here's what I'm hoping student chapters can do. Say, hey, SPJ, help us with a mentor. Help students prepare for what's out there. There's the book knowledge, because I also teach. And then there's the reality knowledge. rejection at a job. You knock on the door for, unfortunately covering a murder. Someone slams the door in your face, or when you're trying to find breaking into the business can be so difficult. I want to make sure, the board wants to make sure that with student chapters, these students have a support system, someone that will defend them, protect them, inspire them, empower them. Because yes, they will be ready with a degree, but they need to know that once they leave that university, that one, they've already built their network. And Bob, networking in this business, not only what you know, but who knows you. That is so key. And so that's my hope for the student chapters, because I want them to know there's somebody there at the university willing to help you, willing to support you, willing to inspire you, and willing to say, look, you can do it. I did it. You can do it.
Well, why don't we take care of some business right here on the podcast? I'm the chair of the department at Caldwell University in New Jersey. We're about 20 miles outside of New York City, and I'd love to start an SBJ chapter. Our new vice president of academic affairs asked me, what do we do for aspiring journalists? And I kind of came up with only just the curriculum. So this, to me, is a perfect vehicle. And again, being that close to New York, we certainly would have a number of people who live in New Jersey and work in the city who could really be tremendously helpful to us. But let's talk about the professional chapters. We can see the need for the students, for the kids, for lack of a better word. What about for the seasoned pros?
Same thing. Just because you go from a student to a professional doesn't mean you don't need a support system. Doesn't mean you need someone there to constantly help you out. And that's the beauty of our chapters, from Boston to all the way to Los Angeles, from up in Minneapolis all the way to the border. Our chapters are there, what I call the boots on the ground. Okay. For example, in California, where police officers were abusing and harassing and threatening reporters covering protests, what our chapter did out there in Los Angeles, they said, hey, come on, journalism organizations, let's get together. Let's work on SB 98. This is a bill now in the hands of Governor Newsom that will be that extra layer of protection from having just officers when you show up at a protest saying, hey, what are you doing? Knocking you down or threatening you. This will be that extra protection. That's what I call boots on the ground. Again, the same as student chapters. They defend you, they protect you. They're there that when you've had a lousy day, they're the pat on the back. They're the ones that say, keep going, you can do this. Because, I just want to say to your viewers and listeners, this is a tough job. This is a tough job. People think, oh, it must be so glamorous. No, it isn't glamorous. I love it because I'm there. I'm where history happens. Bob, you've been there. We are where history happens. But
It's
at the
the
same
first
time,
draft of history.
yes. And every day is different and we meet different people. But what I love about our chapters is there's a place to turn to. Even if, for example, I'm a member of the Fort Worth chapter also, of course, but you live in Abilene where there's no chapter. Now, thank you, Zoom, all these platforms like this one, you can join a chapter, be part of it, even though you're a couple hundred miles away. But again, I need these chapters to be strong. We need to support them because they continue being connecting mentors with younger people. And the beauty of chapters is the Los Angeles chapters, they can work closely with the student chapters. Good way to find mentors. But right now, we do need support systems. And you know that, and I'm glad that you're one of the professors telling these students out there that, hey, it may look ugly and there may be a lot of noise, but the beauty of our profession is we inform the public. Yeah, you jump on Facebook, TikTok, where else? LinkedIn, Twitter. They're not supplying the news. We are.
They're actually supplying the disinformation. So that's an issue.
Mm-hmm. A big issue that we're constantly going to have.
Let's talk though a little bit about your career. One of the things that we were doing in pre-interview prep was talking about you as a television journalist, and you said, "Wait a minute, I'm all platforms," and pretty much everybody has to be. And just as I'm working my own equipment here, and that's not what I was trained 4 years ago, I was supposed to be an on air person. But that just doesn't exist anymore. And also, very often in this gig economy, being a freelancer is the way that you're going to go rather than actually getting a job. But you mentioned something to me before we started to record today, which is that freelancing is also freedom in a lot of ways. Talk a little bit about the life of a freelancer and a multi platform journalist in today's society, because it really isn't what it used to be, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Exactly. Well, first of all, Bob, what you showed just now, and that I'm also showing, is you never stop learning. Just because you had one platform, look at you now. I mean, you have your own podcast and this video cast, right? You never stop learning as a journalist. Always continue evolving, adding more tools, because the more tools you have, the better opportunities you have. Now, I was kind of forced into freelancing. Let me just say, for again, your viewers and listeners, always be prepared for the unexpected. You could get laid off. You could get fired. I've been laid off and I've been fired. No shame in that. This is that kind of business. But be prepared. And the more platforms you have, the better. I remember when I left a TV station in San Antonio, it wasn't going to work out. Immediately, when they heard in town in San Antonio that I was leaving, the number one all news radio station called me and said, "Hey, Rebecca, would you like a job over here?" And I thought, oh, okay. In between TV stations, while I look for a TV job, I'll go over there. And I did. I left the TV station, went straight into radio. Why? Because I learned radio as a young child with my father and then did radio in college. So I knew how to do radio reporting. All right. From this station, when the station in Dallas, when the station and I got a divorce, that's what they call another firing, a divorce, you know what? So what? They take a job away. They don't take away your talent, your network, your know-how, your hook, right? They don't take it all away. And so what did I do? I immediately enrolled in a local community college, because at that time I knew, okay, social media is going to be big. You need to know webs, whatever. I learned how to code. I learned how to code. I can make a website from scratch. Learn something new. I learned how to use everything, Photoshop. I learned how to edit. Of course, I already kind of knew how to edit on a computer, but even did better. Continue to grow. And I knew right then, I don't want to work for anyone else after 28 years in TV news. I want to do my own thing. And so the beauty now for all you people born in this, millennials and everybody else, I wish I was born in this era, because you have so many tools. Bob and I, we were knocking on doors. We were using yellow pages. I don't even know. I mean, Google made it so easy. On the other hand, it can be a crutch. But anyway, so what I say is learn from me, learn from Bob. We've evolved. We're still doing this. But if you stop learning, you don't get those opportunities. I learned social media right away, right away. And that's why, within a few years, I became a social media columnist for a national magazine. The beauty about volunteering, because you talked about freelancing, I knew I had to build my resume. Was a newsroom going to give me that? Maybe not. So I went to the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, which I was a member since 1986, ran for office, became the online VP, and took over 25 platforms, social media platforms, for free, because we were going through a financial crisis. So I said, let me do it. But at the same time, I knew, I'm building my resume. I'm building my resume. I'm building my network. And
It's a
so,
great way to look at it, because so often if we're not getting a paycheck, it's like, well, I'm wasting my time. What am I doing this for? And even, we'll go behind the scenes a little bit here. I had a little mix up here with the StreamYard software beforehand. I think maybe a year ago, I may have had a complete freak out meltdown. And, the more and more you're doing this, the better you get at it. And then you go, okay, now I know that. Now I don't have to call my son. That's one of the big breaks, you just get used to it. There's a solution to all of it, and now you've learned it. But at the time, it's like, what am I doing this for? And you make a really great point.
but you throw yourself out there, Bob. It doesn't matter. And I keep hearing, I'm sure your audience is of all ages. It doesn't matter what age you are. Just learn. Never stop learning. I don't know how many people, even, young people, oh, I don't think I should learn that. Why should I? Why not? The more I have to offer, if I'm in this position today, as the president of SPJ, it's because I knew, look, I know what radio people need. I know what digital people need. I definitely know what TV people need and print people. I mean, I had to kind of learn print in 2008 because in broadcasting, we really don't follow AP style. We follow conversational style. And so what I'm saying out there to all your students, all the professionals, never stop learning. Never.
Let's just change gears here and get back to SPJ because this now in this organization, the Society of Professional Journalists, you have a very diverse board. But I've done interviews about diversity in journalism many times. And one of the things that comes through is that it's not just a matter of having X number of people from X number of backgrounds. It has to do with that background and what that background brings to bear in the coverage of a story. Something that somebody else might not even have thought of. As a matter of fact, it was an SPJ person, Rod Hicks, who told me a story about a prominent member of the Black community had died, and a white editor, not out of any sense of racism or hostility, just had no idea who this person was because there wasn't the perspective. Talk a little bit about the need for, and it seems to be being accomplished, diversity in an organization like SPJ and in the profession in general.
Well, SPJ for a long time was known as the organization that was predominantly white. Even when I arrived, I think 2009, I remember looking at the board thinking, wow, it doesn't reflect our communities that we cover. It doesn't reflect what's out in the real world. And so it happened that I'd say maybe 2019, Alex Triquenio, former president, came to me and said, I need your help. And I said, sure, what? She's like, we need to make this organization more diverse. And she said, you need to run for secretary treasurer. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then she goes, no, really. And so she really put it in my head. I mean, I had also before that sat on a diversity committee. And by the way, really, she said, Rebecca, I need this diversity committee back in 2018. You need to revamp it. And I really did, because it was kind of one of those committees that you have there, but it really wasn't doing the job. But one of the things that I appreciate about SPJ, especially our members, I mean, I hope whichever member's watching this right now, that even though the organization, and I don't have the breakdown, but I'm thinking around 95% white, maybe 90% white, the members voted for a very diverse board. Right now, we are 5 Latinos, 1 African American, and 3 Caucasians, right? And the first transgender woman in the history. I made history, but I'm so glad that we have a trans woman, a proud trans woman on there too. And that's important. That's what we're talking diversity. I remember someone recently in an email, and this was an SPJ member, sent me, do you just think diversity is skin color? I mean, I'm used to these, and I thought, wow, really, people, do your homework on me. I'm married to a white guy. My former sister-in-law is a Sioux Indian, Native American. We're very close. My aunt is Black. My cousins are Afro-Latinos. My father-in-law is white, 94 years old, if we're looking at age. And I thought, here is a journalist, allegedly, who's asking me if I only look at skin color. I look at diversity as everything, even age. And so the beauty about our membership when it concerns diversity is they said, hey, we're not talking the talk. Because let me tell you, and you know this, Bob, there's organizations and newsrooms out there that are doing diversity training, but they're still racist in that newsroom. They're just covering it up.
So is it just lip service? We have
heck yeah.
committee, and
Oh,
we're going to meet once a month, and nothing changes.
yes, because then everybody has an FCC license, especially in TV. You got to go back and say, oh, look at the diversity here. Or when when you do something bad to someone in your newsroom, and it's definitely racist, discrimination, or ageism, or ableism, or whatever, they have this to cover their behind. So, there's a thing in the communities of color that, the D word. Diversity makes people who are not people of color feel warm and fuzzy. But when I hear the D word, it's like, here we go, lip service. Well, I'm here to tell you that SPJ is not about lip service. Because when you have a board now, today, and even with our former president, who was a white male, very diverse board, it's changing. It is changing. We don't talk the talk. We want to make sure that people realize, hey, look, did anyone of all the people who voted, did they think, oh my gosh, look at the board's going to be more people of color? Of course not. All they cared about was journalism. That's what I care about. But I do care about diversity because, I mean, I come from my father and mother were undocumented workers, turned green card holders. My mother became an American citizen. My father died before his dream came true. But during their life here, they were union leaders. My father for General Motors, civil rights leaders. My mother was a migrant rights activist. She picked tomatoes. I picked tomatoes. So I come from that kind of family that, that we are about making sure everybody gets fair, equal opportunities. And at SPJ, we're showing it. And we hope to be a model for other organizations that are predominantly white. Hey, don't fear us, embrace us.
And maybe that's what the entire country should be doing too, in addition to just companies, organizations, and professions. One last question.
And can I
Of
say
course,
something?
whatever you'd like to add. Go ahead.
Since you're a professor, for every professor who teaches journalism or mass communications, have a chapter on covering diverse neighborhoods. Have a chapter that, I'm going to tell you something that's just going to, well, it still shocks me. It's a story I tell. I'm not going to tell where this young woman was from. I remember covering a murder in the Black community in Dallas. I have this white young lady come with me from a very well private school in the Dallas area. Okay. And I remember I go and interview the family. And she's with me, and my photographer happened to be white too. And when I walk into this little apartment where the victim's family lived, they're like, Rebecca, I mean, they already knew me from TV. It was a hot day. Can you have some water? And I said, sure. She hands me the water, like hands me the glass. I go, okay. Hands one to my photographer. Hands one ready to hand it to the woman. She's like, the young girl, I'm sorry, I only drink bottled water. Whoa. I'm thinking, okay, I just want to scream. And I said, no, you need, here, drink it. Drink it. And I looked at her like, you better drink it. Then, okay, there's people's couches, there weren't they were a little grungy, but that's okay. And I sat down, everybody said she wouldn't sit down because why? She didn't want to mess up her outfit. And I thought, when I got in the car, I asked her, in your circle of friends, how many are Black? How many are your besties Black? And she thought, I go, really, just give me the truth here. And she said, I go, you have to think about it. You need Black friends because what you just did was rude. This woman, she can't afford anything. She just lost, I think it was her husband. And you can't even take her water. Why? Because you think there's germs there? You can't sit on her couch because what? You're not good enough? People, students, I don't care where you come from, break down your own barriers. I mean, I've been in places where I've seen mice. I don't care. I'm there to seek the truth. I'm not going to let these barriers get in my way from telling a story. So please, professors out there, bring in people to talk about covering communities. That yes, you may go into some areas that are not the best. And that includes, hey, I'm sorry, but I've been in some white communities, I have to be careful too. All right. I'm not just saying Black or Latino, also white communities. And it works both ways because I ask Latinos all the time, okay, tell me of your 10 people, any white best friends. I mean, I have walked into parties, journalism with their journalists. I'm the only Latina. I'm the only person of color. And I'll tell my friend, hey man, I mean, really? You don't have any friends or people of color? Oh no, I invited so-and-so. It's like, come on, people, analyze your friends. If your friends are people of color, people of different religions, people LGBTQ, then you're missing the point, man. You really are missing the point.
Well, you make a great point, not just for journalism, but obviously for American society in general, and also for us to really not just pay it lip service. I think that's the biggest thing, to not.
Yeah, I mean, but especially us, because we're seeking the truth. And if we build those barriers, I'm not going to go into the Black community if I really think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get mugged or whatever. If you have these just, I don't know, again, I was raised differently, and And but it goes on the other side. I mean, the Latino, I've seen Latinos and African Americans are like, oh my gosh, they don't have white friends. Why?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there beyond journalism. So let me ask you this one last question, and I thank
Sure.
you very much for all this time. These terms in organizations like SPJ are presidential terms, are a year.
Mhm.
And I know you don't want to be in there for 4 years. I've been president of an organization, and it was just like, I'm really glad this year is over. But the thing is that you have a very ambitious agenda. You have a lot you want to accomplish. I know there are other people who could carry the torch. Is there a lot of pressure to get all of this done when you talk about the student chapters, the professional chapters, the diversity challenge, to get done in just one single year?
No, there's no pressure. That's the worst thing a president can do to themselves. Also, remember, I have a team, I have a board. They're on the same wavelength. I don't do this alone. I'm not thinking, okay, I got to do this I got to talk to my team and see what we can accomplish. Also, I mean, we already have the chapters. We already have it. We just need to let them know we're here. And one of the reasons I'm concentrating on chapters, and I know it can be easily done, is because I was on the Fort Worth chapter. I remember us doing kick-ass stuff. And I thought, well, where's National? I mean, did you see this? Did you see that? Oh, no. Rebecca, you need to renew. That's it? And I thought, oh my gosh, no, 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 no. And that's why I'm telling you, I call it hashtag SPJ chapter strong, hashtag SPJ strong, because we can do it. All I have to do is, let these presidents from all these chapters know, look, we're the direct line, we're a connection. I'm not just making this up. The board is here. Plus, we also have communities that aren't chapters, they're communities, the freelance community, which is great if you want to break into freelancing. They have their own their own SPJ Facebook page. We have the international community, especially for those people who want to be foreign correspondent, for reporters in other countries. Those are great communities. That's another place that we need to strengthen or keep their momentum going. But I don't have that pressure, Bob. I don't. Because there's business. You can set a deadline and not meet it. I don't make promises. I told our membership, I don't make promises. I have set goals. Here's another thing that I'm doing that's very different from other presidents. We have a president-elect, Claire Regan. She's basically the president in training. She's AKA VP. She's a president in training. I'm including her in every discussion I have with everybody, from the executive director to organizations around the country, to committees, to chapters. Why? Because if something happens to me, and by the way, I do cover the pandemic, she can just step in and take over. But I also want her, when she takes over, not to miss a beat, that we've the same wavelength. And I hope her president-elect is the same way. I never want the president-elect to feel like they weren't in the know. I want that person prepared for the unexpected. And so that's what I'm doing different than maybe others, that everything, every conversation, every email, she's involved in it. And this way she can carry it on, because I'm telling you, there is no handbook that they say, Rebecca, here's what you have to do as a president. I'm basically writing things down. I'm
Right.
going to create a book for the next president with her help, because I've suddenly heard, you have to put this person in office. Like, whoa, no one told me that. Okay. So people keep thinking it's a learning process to be a president, but let me just say, I love it. I love it because this is a great organization. We have great members. We have amazing people joining us. And I'm honored. I'm honored to have this position for a year. It will go fast. I will try with the board to accomplish as much as we can. But in the end, I think every journalist, every journalism educator, every student journalist is going to be proud that they are members of SPJ. And if they haven't joined, you're missing out.
And I can certainly second that. And I am proud to be a member, and also very grateful to have the president right here on my podcast. And I really appreciate that. And I will be in touch with you, well, as soon as we stop recording, actually, to ask about a chapter at my university. And I thank you very much, Rebecca, for being here on the program. And we hope that you'll join us again at some time in the future.
Just call me. I'm a freelancer, so I make up my own schedule. And just one more thing for your listeners and viewers. If you want to start a chapter, whether in your city or your college or university. Just go to our website, see the directions. You can do it. Do it for the people there that you support. If you believe in our business, if you have a passion and a heart for this, start a chapter. Because you know what? It is the best support system you will have right there for you at all times.
Well, that's great. And that's a great way to wrap it up. And I will be certainly telling people how we do with that. And Rebecca Aguilar, our guest right here, the new president of the Society of Professional Journalists here on Hot Media. And I certainly hope that you join us on a regular basis here on Hot Media. If you want more information, please go to the website, www.bobmanhotmedia.com. Please subscribe to audio on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or one of the platforms, and for video right here on YouTube. And we hope you join us every week as we discuss the hottest content and hottest controversies in mass media on Hot Media.